Good morning, my name is Adam Harris and this is the day ahead for the week finishing Friday the 4th of January 2019. So here we are, brand new year, everybody's just getting back to their desks probably from next week, and it's been an incredibly volatile week already. So having a look at the economic calendar news, certainly for Friday, for today, we're looking at a slew of EU news out around 10 a.m. and really the focus is going to be around the US's non-farm payroll at 1:30 p.m. And so really expecting increased volatility there. If you have a look at the currency markets, we can see that the US dollar index has failed to break or move any higher. It's actually starting to head lower. However, the longer term trend of this is not really clear. So for the moment, expecting it to continue to weaken, looking at euro and GBP to strengthen. Then if you have a look at cryptocurrencies, beautifully, there is a bit of a bullish breakout pattern forming with Bitcoin as well as Ethereum. So anticipating actually a stronger cryptocurrency, certainly for the next week or two. Then having a look at commodities, beautifully, finally, gold and silver getting their day in the sun, looking really nice and bullish. We'll have natural retracements, but expecting those to continue. It actually does support the general uncertainty in the markets. And then if we have a look at, say, oil, it's largely treading water, going sideways, no clear direction there. If we have a look at the global indices as well as the equities in focus, they are bearish, looking very weak across the board. I'm looking for shorting opportunities. I do anticipate that at some point they will do a weekly retracement, but for now, looking to short those markets, at least for the shorter term period. Q1 and Q2 are likely to be volatile, very similar to 2018, seeing as we've just started that consolidation period, and so expecting lots more volatility for the next 3 to 6 months. If that changes, I'll let you know. That being said, let's go to the charts and have a look at that in more detail. Currencies first, and having a look at euro against the US dollar, you can see it's still stuck within this range. So interesting to see if we do get some of it, or if we get a break of that or a push outside of that range with NFP news today. Same with sterling. Actually, what's interesting about this as well is just looking at a couple of the momentum indicators here, we can see a bit of bullish divergence here, although we have got a fresh low in price action. We have got higher lows here when we look at the two indicators. So just a bit of bullish divergence there, indicating that especially if we break the high of this, we'll see a change in trend, indicating a potential change in trend on the horizon there. If we look at CAD yen, so CAD yen and euro yen, we've got CAD yen retracing back into the moving averages. The momentum indicator seems to be happy. I may well consider looking for a shorting entry here, but I'm going to leave that until Monday at the very least and see if we get a bearish candle set up there. Aussie Kiwi, looking at we've prices kind of pull back over this level of support. We've also got a bit of bullish divergence here that's just indicating a possible rejection of that level, and again a break of that high would indicate a change in trend, so just a bit cautious of that. Euro yen also looking slightly bullish in terms of that, but looking for retracement in the meantime back up into the moving averages towards 125, so I'll be looking for that early next week as a potential shorting entry there, a swing entry to the downside. And then pound Swissy last on my list today. Excuse me, looking and seeing again, although we have got a fresh low in price with this previous candle, we've also got bullish divergence there, so also looking to see if we get a break of the high there. So looking for some entry opportunities on the yen pairs early next week, and on some of the GBP pairs a potential change in trend. Taking a look at crypto, starting off with Bitcoin, I like the higher lows going in here. We've got nice little bullish momentum here. MACD's climbing and a flat level there, so anticipating a breakout of this level as price then heads towards 4,200. So some bullish signs there on the daily, looks good. Very similar on Litecoin and Ripple, and then on Ethereum, looking at it from a weekly perspective. Also see that we do have a downtrend, price coming back into the sell zone. I'm looking to see price actually break above this level. If I get a strong rejection candle here, fine, but there's definitely bullish divergence here. You can see the MACD actually climbing, although price is producing fresh lows. We've actually got price climbing here, and so my expectation is to see price continue to climb up here. So I'll be looking for potential long opportunities on the daily time frame on crypto. So that's really nice. It's been long overdue, and they're looking nice and bullish there. If I get a strong rejection candle here, then I will reassess that, but otherwise anticipating this price will climb here. In the commodities on the move, having a look at gold. This is gold on the 4-hour time frame. There's a relatively strong cycle here, so a lot of cycles here, which is where I'd be looking for entry opportunities to the upside. It's a strong, healthy uptrend, and just looking at it here, the divergence has worked its way out. Price seems to be pretty much convergent here. At some point, I do anticipate that it will come back to retest this level, just to give you an indication of that. I'm looking at silver here on the weekly time frame to give a sense of perspective. So it's coming back up into the next level of support and resistance. And at some point, I do anticipate that it has to take a bit of a breather and actually potentially come back down and retest that level, or alternatively take a daily retracement. So looking for shorter term entries on the lower time frames for hourly, but at some point I am looking for price to do a deeper retracement to the downside, and I'll be looking for swing entries at that point on the daily time frame. Then looking at the US Brent oil. This one as well, continuing to push a little bit higher, higher lows, higher highs, so we now have an uptrend, but also looking for a bearish candle here at this time. Really what I'd like it to do is to come up and test this 1650 level for resistance, so waiting on that. We'll see how that is by Monday. And then just finishing off with palladium, which is a relatively weaker version of gold and silver. It has broken out through this level, which is fine. I was hoping it would do it a little bit later for a stronger breakout of that. There's no real pressure holding it back. It looks pretty bullish at this point. I may then wait for swing entries next week and look for a entry to the upside there. So with the global indices, although in principle I'm now starting to look for shorting opportunities, especially as price pull back and produce these bearish candles and broke lower, I also want to get past this Friday as well, so past today with a non-farm payroll, and really look and see what the outcome is there. So basically price pulling back into levels of resistance, potentially likely to head lower. Similar if I look outside of the US and go across and have a look at, say, the UK or potentially Asia as well. Just got price now potentially doing a swing low on the weekly time frame up into the moving averages. So I want to see how non-farm payroll impacts that, if go and compare that to, say, Hong Kong. Also just noting that price currently, and again I say currently, looks as though it's finding some support off this level here at 25,000, I beg your pardon. So if this ultimately produces a bullish candle, then there may well be a swing low for me here, which gives us a strong level of support and a little bit of divergence there, looking to see price head a little bit higher. So just wanting to see how we are by Monday before I revisit the idea here of looking for shorting opportunities next week. And then wrapping up on those selected equities and focus, looking at Facebook first. This is a weekly. I like this nice little bearish candle here in the sell zone. So depending on the outcome of the close of the candle, I may look for a break of the low of that as a potential swing entry short. It's also at a level of resistance, so it's looking pretty good in the moving averages, all in the correct order. Just noting as well with Amazon, as a result of the news, we just had that gap down. So that trend looking relatively decent there. Had a pullback, bearish candles in the moving averages, and then a move down, so that maintaining that overall bearish look. Then having a look, say, at some of the weaker equities. So we've got Barclays here looking for this weekly retracement to pull back into the moving averages, ideally where that level of support is, and testing that for resistance. But anyway, in this area is looking good, so that's on my watch list there. Standard Chartered looking relatively weak, setting a level of support and producing a weekly bearish candle again, depending on that outcome of the weekly candle. I may be looking for a swing entry short on the break of that, but also noting there's a level of support here. But it's looking overall bearish, looking as though it's very much keen to do a breakout to the downside there, and looking quite weak. So there, on that note, ladies and gents, I want to wish you a wonderful weekend. If it's trending, I'll be there. Just a reminder to hit the subscribe button. If you want to stay abreast of what's happening in the market, I'll be producing and bringing you the latest in the markets every morning in a freshly produced video.